Cool. So we're recording. Yep. Check. All right. Cool. So, really the purpose of this meeting is just to go over reporting. And so, a lot of my philosophies when it comes to analytics, I always reference a book, and it's like I haven't unpacked that book, but essentially it comes down to a couple of things. One is, the services that we're providing. So like, obviously, if we're providing SEO services, we're going to have keyword rankings and search engine traffic and a lot of those kind of things. But what I think is almost more important is thinking about the person who's going to be reading the report, right? And so what are the common questions that they're going to have? And the questions that they're going to have is dependent on who they are, right? So an executive is going to want to know, like, how's my website performing? How is it, and really, how's it performing at a high level? Like, how are we doing on visits? How are we doing on traffic? And data in and of itself isn't insights. I think what business managers and owners and people are really interested in is how does that compare? Like, give me context, whether that be in my industry or whether that be compared to previous months. I need to see and feel the impact that Bonsai is having for our business and that my website's having and all those things. So let's take a look at one. I'm trying to see if there's like an old one that I've used in the past. I'm a little bit scared to go on one of these, but we'll try this one even though they're not with us anymore. That would be a little bit of cleanup, but in essence, what I like to do is start off with a high level overview. And so this would be what I would consider kind of our executive persona who would be viewing this first part of the report. So for them, it's really about understanding, okay, here's my traffic. And as you can see, their traffic last year when we were doing their Facebook and PPC and all those things, you can see how big of an, their Google ads, that a Geekware banner that's driven a decent amount of traffic. You can start to see how these different marketing initiatives are impacting your business. I believe here, like, they launched a new website and didn't get the analytics installed. This client, is a little bit different because they had another firm running their website where normally we do top to bottom. But from a business manager's perspective, they can really quickly come in here and see, like, oh wow, we stopped using Bonsai in September, and look what that did. Like, holy shit, right? Like, as a business manager, you can get a real quick view as to, like, how am I doing in November and how does that compare to the rest of the year? It gives me context, right? We can also see that our total sessions this month, and this month time period is November 1st to 30th. Yeah. So they had 327 sessions last month. That's really shitty. That's 54% less than the previous period. So again, we're giving them context. And it's 94% less than the previous year. We're giving them context. We're keeping them high level. Okay, so like, here's all my traffic sources. Here's my high level sessions or visits. How did I get those sessions? So then we break down our sessions by our source and medium. So Google Organic in the month of November drove 128 sessions. That data in and of itself isn't meaningful. Well, is that more or less than the previous month? And so what we show is the previous period, it's down 24. It might be more effective to use a percent than a hard number, but we could go back and forth on that all day. And then from there we can see, their by city, so where people are coming from. This is just kind of one of those general stats that are interesting. When we actually get into, and I'm going to jump to, let's do September when we were actually doing advertising and work for them, because I think we'll get a little bit more meaningful report here. All right. So again, I mean, you can compare this to what we just saw. When they're working with us, they're getting 50, 200 visits a month compared to the 300 they're getting now. Like, wow.
Right.
Come on, sessions load. Oh, damn it. I'll pause it to press record again. Oh well. Don and whoever sees this, we just went over content. So like the overall structure from like overview of traffic and how people are using the site to the content that's popular to then the goals broken down overall by the source medium again, but then breaking register down by register conversion by source. So where am I getting these registrations from? Wow, Spark sent 4. Maybe I should spend more time and money there if I want more registration goal completion. Same with mail lists, our download form, our calls, our scheduled tours, our summer sellout completions. So we're able to see all that. And then from there, and this is really good for the sales and marketing team. But then from there, we get into the kind of the technical. So this would be for our developers. So what's our average page load time? Anything above 3 seconds is no bueno. So for these guys, whatever they've been doing to the site, it's not as effective as it used to be. And it also breaks down by average page load time by device. So obviously on mobile, that's 4 seconds. That's really bad. We can see the different devices. So as we go to look to fix these changes, I know that like, all right, well, we're getting majority of them from an iPhone. So we need to focus on page load time and the experience for iPhones before we focus on iPads, right?
Right.
We can see screen resolution. So if I see that, wow, majority of our traffic, and it might be helpful here. So anytime you get into one of these stats, you can click on the gear icon. And this is where I would really think it would be beneficial for you to get some training with these guys.
Yeah.
Because what I wanted to, what would be, I think, helpful here would just be as a percent. So 414 by 896 is blah, blah. So then like as an account manager or as you in this situation, I would come up to Gridiron condos, if I can spell. I'd look at this here. I'd press F12. I would move to the screen resolution we saw, which I think is 414 by 896. We'll make this responsive. We'll go for by 896. So we'll scoot this down a little bit. So 896. Cool. So now we can see what their site looks like on mobile, which
Got it.
This is all they have. I cannot believe they're doing this. God, their company is doing their website. It's just deplorable. But anyways, as an account manager, that's kind of what I would dig in and take a look at. Is like, okay, how is our site looking on our most popular device? And then from there, make recommendations accordingly. I'm just using the data as kind of the guide as to where I need to go look. We can look at top browsers and versions by session. So Safari is where I need to focus my efforts. Total events, we can see that there are a ton of JavaScript errors. So, hey guys, you guys need to dig in and figure this out from a dev perspective, because those JavaScript errors are going to result in issues for your users.
Right.
And then we have our sessions by campaign. So this is just gonna, to be honest, I don't know why we have this here. This should really be in like a PPC or SEO section. I think it's accidentally here. Because then it gets into SEO. So being that this is a specific service, we want to see like, okay, here are all the, here's your search traffic month over month. Here are your conversions from organic. Here are the top converting goals from organic, from download to mail to. Here's our ranking distribution. We're in the top 1 for 12 keywords, top 30 for 36, top 20 for 37, top 10 for 38. And then we can see the different keywords and where we're ranking. So Pioneer Square condo. And so this comes from Web CEO. And this allows us to be able to show those rankings. And this is just a widget that comes with dash this. So you can see all these widgets here. We could, Web CEO is one of them. And then we can pull in, ranking distribution, which is here. We could pull in, these different metrics and bring them in here so that it's always up to date with their current rankings. Then we'll look at Google Ads. So Google Ad, we're looking at users over time from our different campaigns. So a general Seattle search, a general national search. So somebody who's in, Los Angeles who's searching for a Seattle condo. That's what the national search is all about. General Seattle search is somebody who's in the area and searches a condo for sale. And then our branded search, brand remarketing display, general search. We can see our clicks over time. We can see our clicks over time here as well. So, this just breaks out the campaigns. This looks at it in total. This looks at our costs. So we're able to bring cost data in here. So you can see, we're spending the same amount of money. But if we look at clicks, the clicks seem to be going down a little bit. What's up with that? Oh, well, in March, April, May, June, July, August, that's the high buying season. So it's more competitive, more people are spending money, yada, yada, yada.
Not it.
Shows our impressions over time. Looks like something happened here. We'd want to figure out like, wow, what happened in, January compared to April? Did our budget change? And then bringing those insights again to the customer. We're able to see the conversions by campaign. So the general national search drove 28 conversions at a cost per conversion of $33, which is really good. Our branded search drove a lower conversion, which is to be expected. If somebody searches Gridiron Condos and we have an ad, cool, you converted some people, like not impressed. And I'd expect that to be a low cost conversion. I'm not a fan of spending advertising dollars to attract people who are already searching your term, but just kind of got to do it, I guess. We can see the search impression shares, so we can see that like, okay, well, we saw less visits, but we're still showing up in front of a lot of people, which is important. It just means we're not getting as much traffic as we could. So we lost, because of our budget, 25% of the traffic that we could be getting due to budget. So that's where I'd say like, hey, look, like if you guys really, want to dominate this, you need to increase your budget. And here's the reason why. Like there's a stat specifically for that. And then of course it has our, top cities. So where people are coming from, clicks, impressions, costs. We should probably also have conversions in here as well. top keywords with quality scores, so Seattle condos, gridiron, Seattle condos, et cetera. So if I see a quality score that's a 6, oh gosh darn it, I'm gonna want to take a look at that and see what we can do to bring that up to a 7, an 8, or a 9, because the higher quality score, the lower the cost per click, and you know the deal.
Right.
Then we get into social advertising. We take a look at, okay, we got 6,100 clicks, we got 113,000 impressions, we spent $1,800. Our click-through rate's 5.26%, which is actually really pretty good. And according to this, we got 61 conversions. I'm not, I don't necessarily buy it, and I'd want to see what those conversions are, right? So I'd want to take this report a step further, and I'd want to go up here where we had conversion by source, by type. Yeah, so to see like, okay, floor plans, social, there's 9 there, there's 22 here, there's 31, plus some more here, whatever. So yeah, I think that actually makes up the 61, 9, 22, 31 plus the 37, somewhere around that 60 number.
Right.
So they're pretty much all coming from downloads of the PDF, which, like, how valuable is that? And that should definitely be here. I think we have it up here, don't we? The type of conversion. Yeah, so the one thing I would say that this report is missing is when we're talking about Google Ads, and we're talking about specifically conversions, what were those types of conversions, and are those high value conversions?
Okay.
Yeah, and then this is just going to pull in data from, the Facebook ads and Instagram ads and tell us how much post engagement, reactions, comments, shares, link clicks, cost per click, all that kind of stuff, broken down by our different types. We can see the different ads we're running and how they perform in comparison to each other.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of the reports in a nutshell. But so a couple things for you is one, getting some time with Dash This to get some training. And two is I just really want to encourage you in your career and development is having data and being able to tell a story through data is going to completely shift your relationship with clients.
Right. Yeah.
Early in my career, I spent a lot of time trying to persuade people, that this or that will work or blah, blah, blah. Now I just don't, it's like, hey, wait, here's what the data's showing. And like, sure, we can run some Facebook ads. Yeah, let's run some Facebook ads. Let's see how the data comes in. And if it does turn out to produce the results you're after, then we'll keep it going. And if it doesn't, we just need to know, like, is that after 1,000 visitors or 2,000? Like, what's our cutoff? And if it doesn't work, let's shift that money to what is. And being able to, again, communicate this data, because I mean, the biggest thing is people just don't know how to, like they appreciate the data. Like, every client always tells me, like, oh, wow, like, I really appreciate having these reports. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to make sense of these. Like, what does it mean? And that's where I think the storytelling and just really focusing on how you can create the insights. And one thing I was working on with Rachel was therefore. If every time you bring up a stat or something from an end of month report, get into the habit of then, if even just initially in your mind, saying, therefore what? Therefore, we should spend more money there. therefore we should stop doing that. Therefore our ad creative obviously sucks, or this one seems to be resonating more with our target market. There's 100 therefores, and your therefores don't need to be right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what, like, and like, I stopped, I don't know how many years ago, but I stopped trying to be right, and it's just like, well, the data's showing us this, and so what that means to me is that we need to do X, Y, and Z, and here's what it'll take to do it. And if you want to do it, great. If you want to do something else, we're all ears. Like, we're collaborative, blah blah blah. But like, it just put me in a much more a better position as a consultant, because at the end of the day, we can't run people's businesses for them. They make those decisions, and so our job is really just to help give them the information they need to feel comfortable with the decisions that we want them to make.
Right. Yeah.
So, and like, yeah, I know you're doing Google AdWords and analytics and Facebook certifications and all that kind of stuff. And if you're interested, there's a Google Analytics. I want to say it's Google Analytics for beginners. That's what it is. Let's see what messages are like. I think it's actually web analytics for beginners with Google Analytics. Let me just try one more search. If I can't find it, then. Yeah, I can't find it, so I'll have to look it up and send it to you. But what it does that I really like is it gets into persona-based analytics. So again, like understanding our stakeholders who are going to be reviewing the analytics and what's important to them. A chief technology officer versus a CEO are going to be interested in very different things, and understanding how to present data that's meaningful to your audience. And then kind of once you have your analytics underneath you, there's a book. This one here. Always Be Testing, the complete guide to Google Website Optimizer. And Google Website Optimizer has gotten better. It still kind of sucks. There's Optimizely. But like regardless of the tool, it's the testing mindset and then communication, right? Like it's understanding the data, and then it's understanding how to implement changes in a testing framework. That again, from a consultant perspective, it really positions you really nicely. You're not saying like, yeah, this is gonna get you 1 million leads. It's like, hey, well, let's test this out and this out and see which one performs better. Get that results in, get that data. Okay, cool. Here's what we found out. So let's move forward with this. And so it's kind of the levels to it. Basic understanding of like analytics reports and all of that, and then the testing component on top of it, and you'll be lights out.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.